first things you're going to find about being gritty is that it really has to be something that you're excited about, that's worthwhile to you for whatever reason, to push through, to suffer through the boredom, the difficulties, and all of that. And I think that's the most underlooked part of grit, is that it needs to be something that you're compelled by. It's got to be like cool and exciting and interesting to you.
We often hear stories of people who succeed seemingly without effort. Those who make it look easy. But what we don't see is the grit behind their success. The countless hours they spent practicing, failing, trying again. The times they wanted to quit, but didn't. We don't see the struggle they faced or the sacrifices they made. And yet through it all, they held on.
'Cause I'm telling you from experience, I got a GED. I lived in abandoned buildings, ate out of trash can. I got a PhD now, and that ain't on IQ. That's on GQ, grit. That's all grit. PhD is all grit. Master's degree, all grit. Took me 12 years to get a 4-year degree. That's all grit. So I can't teach you how to be elite, but I can teach you how to go in there. I'm talking about grit. I can teach you how to go in there and murder some other team. Not with talent, just outdoing. So I'm talking about endurance. Just having more stamina than they got.
Let me tell you something about grit. Let me tell you about what it really means. Grit is when you're hurting so bad. Grit is when you're hurting so bad, but you know you got a job to do. Grit is something that pushes you in a total different direction. Now, I'm not talking about those naysayers. I'm not talking about those individuals that cry and moan and groan because they're not getting what they want right now. How do you get through something? You gotta keep climbing. It's gonna hurt. It's supposed to hurt. If it doesn't hurt, how you growing?
The greatest minds, the most successful entrepreneurs, and the most accomplished individuals didn't get to where they are without failure. They didn't get to where they are without learning, adjusting, and keeping at it when things got tough. You see, grit requires a shift in how we perceive challenges. We must begin to see difficulties, not as threats, but as opportunities.
Talk about grit, right? That ability to grind and stick with something even when you're not seeing progression, even when you don't see results being made. So it's a really important attribute, right?
Don't look for any gains where there's been no sacrifice. Don't wake up and look for no gain. Don't look for your game to improve. Don't look for the record to improve. Without sacrifice, there are no gains.
It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned. It is easy to quit when success seems so far out of reach. But if we embrace grit, we shift from being passive observers of our circumstances to achieve creators of our own futures.
You think this is tough? So the fact that he's riding you, the fact that the coaching staff is riding you and saying no shortcuts, do it the right way, do it over, do it over, do it over, do it over. Why? Because in practice you get to do it over. In the game you don't. They write that stuff down. It's recorded.
Everything we do takes time, takes courage, takes understanding, takes the will. It takes a reason. It takes knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, climb. When you slip up, get up. When you feel like you want to quit, don't quit. Know that you have to do these things. Know that you have a responsibility to yourself, to the people that depend on you and love you. Climb, climb, climb up.
Consider the story of Michael Jordan. Jordan didn't make his high school varsity team on his first try. He was cut from the team. Told he wasn't good enough. many would have given up. But Jordan didn't. Instead, he channeled his disappointment into relentless drive to improve. His failures became his motivation, and the result? 6 NBA championships, 5 MVP awards, and a legacy that inspires athletes worldwide. But grit isn't conformed to the world of sports. It's present in every field, from business to education, from science to the arts. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. Before writing the book Harry Potter series, Rowling faced numerous rejections from publishers. She was living on welfare, struggling as a single mother, but she refused to give up on her story. Today, the Harry Potter book has sold over 500 million copies and has been translated into 80 languages. Her success, not just a tale of talent, but a story of grit, the courage to persevere despite overwhelming odds.
So why am I passionate? Because I got a chance to control my own life. You have a chance to control your destiny. That, my friend, is the American dream, not a Cadillac, not a big house. The American dream is all men are created equal.
Grit is the bridge between dreams and reality. It's the strength to keep going no matter what. So when you face obstacles in your life, in your own journey, remember that the greatest success stories aren't built on talent alone. They're built on grit, the ability to preserve, the courage to rise, and the unshakable belief that no matter what, you will reach your goal with grit.
I talk about the rule of 100 on steroids, which is something that I learned from a guy who owned 13 or 14 really successful gyms, and he called it open to goal. And he said, yeah. He said, my managers work open to goal. And I was like, what does that mean? It's like, so they work open until they hit their goal. And so sometimes that means they hit their goal by noon and they can cut out. Or that means that they have to go from 5 a.m. until midnight that night, because that's how long it took them to hit the goal. And so I've seen this across a lot of high achievers across domains. So like, I'll keep shooting free shots until I hit 100 free shots. I will run until this happens. I will practice my presentation until I do 0 mess ups, right? Or whatever that output is that you want for quality or quantity. And the more times you do what is required to get what you want, the more times you get what you want. When no one's watching, I work harder than when they're watching. Thinking about it like that has given me this persistent and ever-present scorecard or third party that's like, no one's watching, which means now you have to work because otherwise you're full of shit. And so it's this continuous reinforcing cycle of me and other me holding the whip behind me to see how much I can take. But with each lash of the whip that I take, learning that I can take it and continue to trudge on. As long as you keep going, you bear witness to yourself of what you are capable of. And I find that incredibly satisfying in the trenches of misery when you have to go through it. Hard work is the goal. And so it's not like work hard so that X, because as soon as you have a so that, then the X is the thing. But if the goal is to work as hard as you possibly can, then the only real output we have is who we become along the way. Then it's something that I can win or measure myself against every day in real time throughout the day, which is how hard am I working? Because that is the goal. Because I know that when I look back on my life, the days that I loved the most were days when I had nothing left in the tank. And so then the goal becomes to empty the tank, not where I drive, but just to drive the car as hard as I possibly can. And that means that in the beginning, it's just straightaways and just seeing how high I can rev the engine. But But as I become more advanced, it's like, all right, well, now we've got turns, and then it's turns in elevation, and then it's turns in elevation without guardrails because we have risk. And so when I think about how hard I want to work, the interesting thing about that is that the only person who can judge you on your success is you, because you're the only one who knows how much left in the tank you really had.